Okay, let's try it again. So then I'm gonna start all over again. So I was in Mexico and I was partying with my friend Chris, and I had this experience that I wanted to share with you guys. And so, for those of you that know me, I'm on my second marriage, and I had always had, sort of, I always felt bad that my first marriage didn't work out. And so I was kind of dealing with that, I'm not gonna say depression because it's been over 20 years, but that never sat well with me, the fact that, our marriage didn't work out. So anyways, I was on a beach in Mexico partying with my friend Chris. We were pretty lit, and then I kind of felt myself going into the typical depression, if you will, for lack of a better word, that I would experience when I would, get buzzed, and I would think about, my life and things I could have done better or differently, yada yada yada. So this one time, I started to reminisce about my first marriage and how it didn't work out and how that really bothered me a lot. So then I felt myself kind of going down this like depression spiral, for lack of a better word, like kind of like a depression spiral. And I felt like I was gonna start crying because when you're drunk, you do shit like that. But I wasn't drunk. I was medicated. And so when I started to think about my ex-wife and the situation that didn't work out, I started to go down in spiral. And then all of a sudden, I felt myself kind of cross over to another place. Now this sounds crazy, but this is exactly what happened. And so I was on the beach. I was on my, at our condo, and all of a sudden I found myself in a different place, like in a different realm, like a different reality, and it was really weird. And then I felt like I was flying through space, like there was like a plane, but I felt like I was like I was going somewhere really fast. And then I had like these two entities, like these two loving entities that were next to me, and one of them was right here, like kind of like watching me, and one of them was right here next to me. And it's literally, I think it was my freaking dog Max and my other dog Papo, because I can't think of any other souls or entities, if you will, that love me like I felt in this when I crossed over. This sounds crazy, I'm telling you. I feel funny saying this, but it's been 2 years in the making, this video, so please bear with me. So then all of a sudden, I was in this place, and the love that I felt from these two entities, these two mini souls, whatever you want to call it, was just beyond comparison. And I didn't even know where I was or where I was going, but I just felt incredible, incredible love. And so that's why I kind of think it was my dogs. I don't know. So they were going and going and going, and I could sense that they were really, really excited to show me something, or they were going to take me somewhere, they were going to lead me somewhere. So then all of a sudden I looked up and there were clouds, and there was this, it was almost like a parade of clouds, and they were all different sizes. So some were really big, some were small, some were medium, but they were all just different sizes. And then my dog, and then, so the entity right here, I felt like it was getting super excited because we were getting closer and closer to what they wanted to show me. So then all of a sudden, I could, the communication is weird. The communication is instant, and there's just a knowing. And so I saw this cloud, and I instinctively knew that it was like an energetic bubble. And I felt myself going closer to it, and then they were like, that's it, that's it, that one's yours. So then all of a sudden, the other clouds kind of like dissipated or faded away, and this cloud in particular came, and I found myself going underneath this cloud. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, it's completely surrounding me, like it's above me, completely surrounding me, and I couldn't really see or focus on anything else. So then it's kind of like, you ever see like two bubbles when they're in the water, and two bubbles come together and they can kind of form one. So that's kind of like what happened. But so I felt myself going up, like literally I was rising up to this cloud, and then and we connected. And then all of a sudden I felt this, I can't even describe it. It's almost like the comparison is like this. Like if you take a semi, one of those big 53-foot trucks, and you try to squeeze one of those into a grain of rice. That's the best comparison I can give you. Or maybe like a freight train, squeeze it into a grain of rice. But what it was this energy, this love source energy that is beyond anything that you can ever imagine or ever experience. And it's one of those things that you only need to feel it once in your life, and it'll change your life forever. It'll change your life completely. And that's what I had felt. And all of a sudden, I just felt this incredible influx of energy and love and light come through me, and it was beyond words. And my faculties as a human being could not handle it. So I just started crying and crying and crying. I just couldn't handle it. I was weak beyond compare. So then I started to have these images of when I was, now remember, this goes back to when I was thinking about, my first marriage. So then I started to have these images of when I was courting my first wife at the time. Her name was Nancy. And then all of a sudden, it took me back in time to when she and I were dancing in my apartment. I used to have a little apartment around by Alhambra here in Phoenix, by Alhambra High School, right across the way. These patio apartments. So when I used to live there, she and I were dating, and I remember it was really nice courtship, And I remember she and I. So all of a sudden, when I connected to this energy bubble, it showed me all the visions of her and I falling in love and creating love. And so I literally, it took me back, and I saw us dancing, I saw us laughing, I saw us just doing all these kinds of fun things. And it's weird how you instinctively know these things, but it wanted me to understand that this is the creation of love. This is the creation of love. And then it says, and I liked it because it was like a teacher. It wasn't telling me, it wasn't forcing anything down my throat. It was more like suggesting, maybe you should look at this relationship from a different point of view. And then what it wanted me to understand was you created love. And this cloud, this energetic cloud, if you will, is the love energy that you two created when you were falling in love. And so maybe you should look at it from that point of view and stop being so negative about it. Well, it didn't work out, but that's not the point. What's more important is that you created love, and love is the energy that fuels the world. And then all of a sudden, you just get these knowings, these understandings that I knew all of those clouds that I was seeing were different energetic bubbles or different energetic clouds, and they basically surround, and they're what make the world beautiful and what keep us safe and protected. Call it what you will. It was really weird. I can't even make this kind of stuff up, but that's what I felt. So then I didn't know what to think of it, and then I was gonna ask, like before I even had a thought, before I could even conjure the words to form a thought, the question was already answered. So I don't even know how to explain that. But let me tell you, words, communication, like I'm talking to you right now, is so ancient. It's such a barbaric form of communication in this realm that I was at, because words just don't even, you can't even compare what you feel, what you know, compared to the words, because the words do nothing to help you understand the experience. It's one of those things that you just have to experience. I hope that makes sense. So then I was freaking out. I didn't know what to expect. So then I kind of popped back out into this reality, and I was like, what the hell just happened? It doesn't make any sense. And then I was questioning to myself, is that real? Did that really happen? And hand to God, the minute I said that, a shooting star fell. And to me, that kind of validated that it was real. So then I went inside and I freaked out, and I was calling my friend Chris, and Chris was, he was lit too. He didn't know what to say. So he did this, I think, a smart thing, and he said, well, let's say a prayer. So we held hands. He said some words, and I don't know what he said, but it was really nice. And then he was like, okay, man, I'm going to go back inside. You're on your own. So he goes back inside. I said, okay, cool. So then I went back outside. No. So then I went inside, and now I'm in the living room. And then I had crossed over again, and then all of a sudden I'm in this place, and I was met by a male figure, by a male, I'm not gonna say entity, but it was definitely a male energy. And then I could tell he was kind of frustrated with me because I didn't really know where I was, what to do, what to say. And so he immediately, the way I felt was like I didn't belong there. But since I was there, they kind of have to deal with me, like, well, he's fucking here, so we gotta work with this guy now. So then I kept popping in and out of this reality and that reality. I shit you not. So then I kept asking like dumb questions, like, what am I doing here? What's going on? And he would get frustrated. And there were really no words that were said, but I could sense his frustration. So he kicked me out. So then I knew I could go back in, so to speak. So then I said to myself, let me ask something smart, something intelligent, so that I don't piss this guy off. So then I said, okay, I'm going to ask something about humanity, something about the earth, because I was making it more about me. But I said, let me think grander. It's my habit. So then when I crossed over, I asked him, why are we so shitty towards each other? Why are we so mean to each other? And then all of a sudden, I swear to God, this is crazy. So then, now, let me pause. I'm from a small town in northern New Jersey called Dover, New Jersey. And I went to this school called Academy Street School, and then we had a junior high school, which was called Myrtle Avenue. Myrtle Ave Junior High, which is Myrtle Avenue. So when I asked him, why are humans so shitty towards each other, all of a sudden I found myself following him, and we were in my junior high school. Now the junior high school had 2 floors. 7th grade was on the first floor, 8th grade was on the second floor. And then, so all of a sudden, when I asked him that question, why are we so shitty towards each other, I found myself climbing the steps of my junior high school, going from 7th grade to 8th grade. And then while we're on the stairs, he was in front of me, and I couldn't really see him, but I knew that it was him. And then he goes like this, bam, like with his hands. And then all of a sudden, I saw a picture of my elementary school. And we used to line up in the cafeteria alongside the wall here. So all of a sudden, he showed me a picture of the elementary school while we were walking up the stairs from 7th grade to 8th grade. And I instinctively knew, he didn't say any words, but I instinctively knew that he was letting me know the people who do shitty things to other people they're just less evolved. My job is to get you from this level to that level, to keep you there and to keep you evolving. And he said this all with pictures. Now, one word was spoken, but with those pictures, I understood everything, what the whole purpose of the mission was. And then, so he answered my question. So he wasn't really pissed off at me anymore, because I think I asked a semi-decent question. So then I forgot what happened next. So then so then all of a sudden I found myself in this, it's kind of like the movie Pacific Rim. So I'm going to kind of switch beats here. So then I found myself in a place, if you saw the movie Pacific Rim, where it's about these giant ass robots that we make to fight the bad guys. So, but where they're housed and maintained and repaired is this incredibly giant facility. So all of a sudden I found myself kind of like in a place like that, and I was walking with somebody, like I was getting ready to go somewhere. He was walking me somewhere, and then he's turned to me and says, if you want to judge somebody, judge them by the amount of happiness. No, if you want to judge somebody, judge them by the amount of joy they bring into the world. And that was it. And I was gone. And I know it sounds crazy, but the point is that I was completely healed from all that negative thinking, all that negative thoughts that I had from my previous marriage was gone. So literally it was 18, 20 years worth of guilt or pain that I was carrying with me. And all it did was it just suggested that I look at it from a different point of view. It didn't tell me, it didn't force me, it just said, why don't you try looking at it from this point of view? And just like that, it didn't bother me anymore. And I understood, because what we had created was more important on a much bigger level. Here's the crazy part now. So this was it was a Saturday night going into Sunday, because we came back, or Sunday night going into Monday, because we came back the very next day. So then my daughter came to visit me like 2 days later, 3 days later, and I was like, Mommy, I need to tell you this story. You're not going to believe it. So as I'm telling her my story, my daughter starts to cry. She's getting all emotional. She starts crying. And as I'm telling my story, I'm like, what the fuck are you crying for? This is my story. You weren't even there. She tells me that that same night, the same freaking night that this happened, she said to me, Dad, I felt like I wasn't even alive that night. So like I wasn't even here. And then all of a sudden, Dad, I woke up and it's like I came back to life. And it didn't make any sense, but then it does make sense, because during the times, now my daughter and I are incredibly connected. Like if I'm going through something, she'll feel it, and vice versa. We're very tight that way. And so during the time when I was having my experience, and I was reliving those memories of when my first wife and I were falling in love, my daughter wasn't even born yet. And so the only thing I can think of, and this is me just trying to put two and two together. I'm not saying this is what it is, but this kind of makes sense to me. Maybe because she and I are kind of like on the same level or connected in a certain way, that connection was lost, because where I was, she hadn't even been born yet. And so, like, does that make sense? Like, I kind of went back in time before she was even here, because of all the things she could have said, she said that. She goes, Dad, I felt like I was dead. I felt like I wasn't even alive yet. And then I woke up and then I was born again. So, and again, this is just me trying to put two and two together. Maybe that's what it was, because she and I, once again, are so connected on a soul level. When I went back in time, maybe she kind of went back as well, where she didn't kind of exist. I know it sounds crazy. So I've actually had, and the reason I started with this one is because it was the first one. I've had 10 plus very, very amazing out-of-body experiences, kind of like this one, better than this one, if you will. But I just wanted to kind of get started with this one here, because it was the first experience that I ever had, and I wanted to share with you guys. And it's only going to get better. My stories are going to get, my experiences are going to get better. And I've been documenting them. I bought a journal, so I have a pretty good sized journal where I document everything. But I kind of wanted to put, because when you try to tell these experiences to people, it's kind of not the same, because, you know, you're trying to tell a story and then something happens and there's a lot of distractions, and I don't like to be distracted when I'm telling a story, because it's kind of important to me. So I wanted to make the videos because at least you can now watch it at your own pace or not watch it. But that way I'm not interrupted and I can share my experiences with others. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think these experiences had led me to really a complete paradigm shift as to the way I see myself, the way I see my existence here, if you will, on Earth. It just really changed it changes the whole narrative. It changes the whole story. And for whatever it's worth, some of you may resonate with this. I mean, this may resonate with some of you. Some of you are going to look at me like I'm crazy, and that's fine too. But it's all true, man. I'm not going to sit here and waste your time. I'm not going to sit here and make these videos just because I'm making shit up. I ain't got better things to do. But these things are important to me. I hope you find value in them. And again, there's a lot more to come. So this is literally the first one that I've ever done, and it's been like 2 years in the making, or waiting. So anyways, hope you got something out of it, and I'll make more.